And a very warm welcome to all of you at home, where you're watching from, either here in South Africa or the countries further afield. Thank you very much for joining us for this, the latest in the series of New Age Business Briefings brought to you by the SABC, and today very kindly sponsored by Transnet. And as Leanne was saying, the topic of conversation today really is human settlements, and this is an issue that affects every single person in South Africa in one way or another. So it's been quite a journey for the current government in terms of, I suppose, fulfilling the promises of the Freedom Charter. And one of the big pillars of providing dignity for our people is shelter. And so the Minister of Human Settlements has a big task on her hands, perhaps one of the biggest jobs in Cabinet. 2005, a social contract was signed to develop and housing solutions for our people. Another one was signed recently, just a week or so ago. So what we want to do today is to try and unpack what does that social contract mean. Minister's hoping that millions of houses can be, housing opportunities can be created in the coming years, and we'll find out how they intend to do that. And one thing that has become quite clear is that the Department of Human Settlements can't do this alone, and that this is something that we have all to do together. And so various stakeholders and social partners have come together, and we'll unpack that and meet these social partners as well during the course of this conversation. Well, let's introduce our panelists today and start having this conversation. And don't forget, you at home can be part of it as well. Hashtag TNA BizBrief and at Morning Live SABC. And I'd like to say a very good morning to you and welcome. Always a pleasure to have you on the program. The Honourable Minister of Human Settlements, Ms. Lindiwe Sisulu, thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you.
Next to you, we have the President of the Chamber of Mines. When it comes to housing, that sector has been sharply in focus, and we'd like to hear what the mining sector is hoping to do in terms of joining the party. Mike Teke, thank you very much for joining us and welcome to you. And perhaps somebody that you might not know directly, but he's been in the media a few times. He's the Managing Director of the Banking Association of South Africa. And most of us, when we're trying to buy a house, this is the kind of person that you deal with, and the kind of person who says no a lot. let's chat to him. Coovadia, thank you very much for joining us. And also, somewhere along the line, once things like title deeds and these bonds get signed, is the Black Conveyancers Association President, Zukiswa Ntlangula. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to you. Somebody new that perhaps you might not have met, but playing a critical role in this process is the SA Affordable Residential Developers Association. And from there, we say very warm welcome to Yusuf Patel. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the program. We look forward to hearing all of your thoughts on this social contract. Well, let's start there, Minister. You had the housing Indaba recently.
Yes.
Social contract 2014. What does it mean? And what difference is it going to make to the average person on the street who's thinking, I need a home?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ndoro, and welcome to our guests and our viewers at home. Thank you for tuning in. When we started off on this journey of trying to resolve South Africa's housing needs in 2004, we realized, as you've indicated, that there's no way we could do it alone. So we went round to people whom we thought would be a very supportive network for us, and we had 6 partners in this, and we signed the social contract. And out of that social contract, we've done exceedingly well. So on my return, second time into this portfolio, I thought it would be absolutely important for me to revive that contract because it did so well for us. We benefited so much from that. We needed to lay the basis of going forward. So we then arranged for the second social contract, and I must tell you, I was absolutely overwhelmed. From 6 entities that had signed the previous contract, we now had 86 entities signing the contract. We actually had to virtually stop the people coming to sign because the overwhelming view was, how can we help you? We're here to come and help you, and we now have 86 people in the social contract, each one of them saying, we're here, we want to assist you, we understand the problems of housing and human settlements, and whatever it is that we can do, we will do our best. The ones that we have here are our traditional partners from the first contract, and some of the people out there are some of the 86 who might also be able to indicate why they were prompted to come and assist us, but we're completely overwhelmed. Muhsin did indicate that we paint a gloomy picture. We have a gloomy picture indeed. 15% of our population lives in informal settlements. Perhaps 5% in addition to that lives in backyards. And this has not changed over the last 20 years. So for as much as we are able to build houses, we built 3.7, that percentage still remains. And it's a very stubborn figure that we've got to get through. And we have now on our database a backlog of 2.3. My partners here have pledged they're going to help me make sure that we build 1.5 million houses within the next 5 years, and they will explain what it is that they have pledged. But of course, the reason I accepted to be here is I'm hoping that they can double what they pledged, because here they are in front of South Africa, and if they pledge 5 rand, they can't be saying to South Africa, we'll give 5 rand. So thank you for having us and putting them on the spot.
All right. Well, we'll certainly look forward to hearing how we can, I mean, there's a backlog, and then there's also people coming into the system continuously, and there's massive pressure there. So we'll try and unpack how that's going to happen. But Mike Teke, the mining sector hasn't covered itself in glory over the years, particularly around the issue of housing. So I guess this is an opportunity to address that. What is the mining sector planning to do as a partner in this social contract?
The mining industry is an important industry in this economy. And South Africa as a country, it's an important mining jurisdiction globally. And if we look at how the pattern of mining has taken place over the years, we know that we have relied on the migrant labor system. And that pattern is changing. We're starting to employ locally, and from 60% of migrant labor that we used to draw to the mining industry, it will reduce ultimately to around 20–30%. The point is, we have then ended up with hostels, which is a system that we've eradicated, number one, to convert those hostels to better living conditions, single employees living in those hostels in a single room, or to family units. The second one is the recognition that as a mining industry, we create economic activity and you attract people to that activity. They want accommodation, they'd like to have jobs, and once they live in those areas, our commitment is to ensure that we partner with government and other organizations to provide housing. Beyond the provision of housing, is to provide an integrated structure from building of roads, provision of schools and other amenities related to accommodation. The third one is we have recognized as an industry that some of our mining houses own land. And beyond that, therefore, we are prepared, and some of those companies have moved already and provided that land to government to assist in the building or expediting in the building of houses. So it is important to recognize that the mining industry has made huge commitments. We are not going to exonerate ourselves from the challenges that this country faces when it comes to housing.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for your opening thoughts. Coovadia, representing the banking sector, this is an area where a lot of people find challenges just even before they see the house they want, or they have to contribute to getting some kind of accommodation, and they face challenges there. And I guess the banks have to stay solvent as well. Can't be giving out loans where perhaps they might go toxic, but at the same time, we have this huge issue. I wonder what role the banking sector is going to be playing in this social contract to help people own homes.
Okay, Peter, let me just start in the brief comments that we often talk about these things as if we're starting from a clean sheet, and we're not. So let me talk about what the banking industry has done up to now, because we've said yes to, not no to. Between 2005 and the first half of 2014, we've lent 101,083,000 rand into low-income housing. 101 billion rand. Now these are verifiable figures. We don't have to, and to just over 2.2 million families. Okay, so that's what's happened. Is it enough? Absolutely not. So we need to build on that, not start afresh. We need to build on that. The second thing is that, as the minister says, that we are committed to the social compact, and we've consistently said that housing is a complex environment that has a number of links in the value chain. And what the social compact needs to achieve is how do we actually bring those links together so that financiers can finance, builders can build, conveyancers can convey, I guess you convey, municipalities can come to the party and get the land out for us to actually build on. And unless we all begin to actually come to the table and work together to bring all of those together, this thing just doesn't happen. So we are committed. We are not saying that we're going to sit back and wait until houses are built. What we are saying is that we want to sit around the table under the minister's leadership on her second coming and say, how do we bring all of these players together so that we can actually play the roles we specifically have to play, but within the context of this machine working together.
Okay, all right. Again, thank you for your opening thoughts. Zukiswa Ntlangula, you're with the Black Conveyancers Association, and I'm just wondering, in this whole process, what would you say are the key aspects that you're concerned about that you can help in terms of the social contract going forward?
Thank you, Peter. As the Black Conveyancers Association, we've been joining with the Department of Human Settlements. We were part of the social contract in 2005. We signed, and we've made certain commitments, which we reiterated this year in October. Our main role, as we see it, is really to assist the ministry with the registration of title deeds. As we've heard, there's a serious backlog in terms of title deeds not being available for properties pre-1994 and post-1994. So in the social contract, we've committed to attend to those registrations. We've also committed to attend to skills development, because the biggest issue around social housing and socio-economic problems in the country is the issue around skills. So our member firms have committed then to take up more candidate attorneys, train up more paralegals, so that we have a better skills base in this sector of the economy. We have launched our BCA, Black Conveyancers Association Training Academy, which we will be using to partner with the minister to roll out training, and this will also include training of unemployed youth and some of the employed graduates, which we can take on as candidate attorneys in our offices. But most importantly, the other role that we play is an influential role as the BCA. We sit on various workshops and forums in the government, where, for instance, with the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, we sit in some of the committees where they discuss changes in legislation, how it's going to be affecting the country as a whole. Also with the Department of Human Settlements, we've been playing that role for the longest time. So for us, as much as it is a professional service that we are offering, we're also saying we are citizens of this country. We want to see a better community, social housing being done well as it has been in the past, integrated human settlements, and we are here to serve.
All right, okay. And Yusuf Patel from the South African Affordable Residential Developers Association, perhaps you can just give us very briefly, what do you do and what's your role in this journey that we're on now?
Well, thank you, Peter. I think, we've already achieved a tremendous amount as a country with regard to housing delivery. but we've still got a lot of challenges. And as developers in the construction industry, in already what's been achieved, we've played a tremendous role in doing that. With this round, we're glad the delivery rates have dropped a bit, but we're excited that the minister is doing a second term and has put more momentum into the process. So we're very clear, and we have the capacity to support the minister to reach some of these targets. We've already got, just with some of the projects amongst, some of the key projects amongst some of our members who are developers operating in some of the major areas in the country, we've already got over 100,000 housing opportunities that are at an advanced stage of planning and will be implemented and delivered within these 5 years. Now, there's a whole lot of other projects that we can also activate, provided that we get through some of the challenges that we're facing in the industry with regard to faster approvals and quicker decision making. But for us, the important thing, Peter, is that housing and human settlements is actually a game changer for our country in two respects. The first respect is it's going to be, it makes an immense contribution to the economy in terms of job creation, but also with housing, we keep the jobs locally here in the country. We don't need to be competing with China in other industries, etc. We can actually create those jobs and industrialize our country through the housing program. So I think for the economy, it's a massive game changer. And secondly, with respect to urbanization and making our cities, improving the spatial transformation and connectivity in our cities so that we have more inclusive cities, but we begin to build the type of cities in an integrated way that works for our people in general. So it's an immensely important sector for our country, and as developers and the industry, we're very keen and committed to ensure that we do this successfully. We've got to look at doing bigger projects as well. We've got to try and scale these things up, but we've also got to support initiatives across the board. There's large-scale developers as well as smaller developers, and I think everybody needs to come to the party and contribute. We need to look at how smaller projects can also transform areas, how we can begin to develop along corridors and nodes, so that human settlements really becomes a true integrator of our cities, and we have the type of cities that we want to live in.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Well, you've heard the opening thoughts from our panelists here, but we want to hear from you at home. What are your thoughts as well? What are your concerns and what are your questions? We'll start addressing them. And do you think you've kind of got some seeds of hope of the future in terms of providing housing? We've heard some interesting words like integrated settlements. It seems as if that we're kind of looking at a reformatting of some of the things that have happened in the past in creating new kinds of cities, new spaces, and we'll unpack all of that after this break. So stay with us, and don't forget you too at home can be part of that conversation. #TNA BizBrief and at Morning Live SABC. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away.